Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live Q&A. Fiona Lukeis here. I'm so sorry. I've had enormous trouble getting the camera to connect on my computer and speak to my live stream software. And after spending a lot of time trying to make it work, I'm now doing this on my phone, but I don't have anywhere to lean my phone. So this might be a little bit wobbly because I'm literally just holding my phone up with my hand and trying to see if I can actually, oh my goodness. Okay. Technology is great when it works and really not great when it doesn't. So my apologies, guys. I'm live streaming to you on my phone, which I've never done before, but at least the software is recognizing the camera on my phone. It will not recognize the camera on my computer at all for some reason this morning. So my sincere apologies. I've got to say, today has been a big day. It's 20 past 11 in the morning here, and I feel like I've been going for about 10 hours. My daughter had a horse jumping competition this morning, and so we were up at 5:30 in the morning, and we went to that, and it was, let's just say, it was a complete disaster. Some days just aren't your day, and today was definitely not one of those days at all. If anything could go wrong, it went wrong today. Anything and everything that went wrong, and so we've rushed and put horses back and fed them, and we've got a horse that's had eye surgery, and that's a whole thing. We've had to give it medication and rush back here, and then my software wouldn't work. So today's just been one of those days, and I thought I've got to find a way to connect with you guys because this is my first live stream of 2025, and so many of you have sent me messages and emails saying, Fiona, I'm looking forward to seeing you again, and can you answer this question, can you answer that question? So I thought I've got to find a way to make this happen. So anyway, here I am sitting here in my office. It's all a bit rushed. Software wasn't working, but we are live, and I'm here ready and willing and able to answer your questions. So with that being said, please feel free to say hi if you can see me, hear me, and let me know where you're listening from. As always, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to see. Anyway, I haven't done this on my phone before, so hopefully I can see some of your comments when you say hi to me. So if you have said hi and I'm not responding, I'm not too sure how this works on an iPhone, but hopefully you can see me. All right, so let's see. There's so many things that I want to share with you guys. Obviously, for those of you in the US and Canada, it's summer here and winter for you guys. And I know you've had a lot going on. You've had a change of president. You've had Christmas, New Year at your end. But we are in the middle of summer here. It's been a pretty warm summer, so I've got to say it's been a very eventful summer. I really say there's just been a lot going on, and a lot I want to share with you. Number one, my book, Funny Little Human, is launching on February 13th. I've got copies at the printers as we speak. I can't wait to share the cover with you, and as soon as the proofs are done, the next stage is actually proofreading, and I can't believe it's actually really happening. I'm very, very excited, and I can't wait to share that with you guys. I really can't. I've put my heart and soul and everything into that book, and I hope that it is of service to you and something that you find invaluable in your life. Like that's really why I wrote that book. I wrote this for you guys, and I wanted to share as much as I could, because as always, my intention has been to reduce the amount of suffering in the world and any way that I can. And I'm really hoping that Funny Little Human does that has some sort of an impact. I know there's many, many great books out there, and I just hope that mine is able to sit up there alongside some of those and be of service to some of you guys. So I'll be sharing more about that, and I would love your support in sharing Funny Little Human, because I've got a couple of goals and things around that I will share with you. I'll send a link so you can join the wait list and get some extra bonuses and things, and be the first person to actually get your own copy. So all of that is coming. I've been working quietly away in the background, organizing all of that. And there's a lot to do to get a book out in the world, a lot more than I appreciated and understood. So kudos to anybody who's written a book and published it and put it out there. It's huge. It's a really big deal. So anyway, I'm very, very excited about that, and very excited that I've been able to to get something out there that has such meaning for me in terms of the work that I do, the message that I want to share, and the clients that have contributed to that with their stories and their own insights and wisdom. So all of that is on its way. But for now, I'm going to answer some of these questions. And, I think there's one thing I wanted to say before I go in and answer these questions. When we were at this, like I said, this show jumping competition today, and we've got a pretty simple basic float. We don't have a supersonic horse float. It's got a tack room and it does its job, but we were parking amongst multi-million-dollar trailers, trucks, like the whole shebang. It was huge. We had our little truck parked between these enormous, like I would say they look like multi-million-dollar, campers that fit 6 horses and 20 saddles and the whole thing, double story things. And we were parked in amongst everybody, and we got our horses out, and one horse has had eye surgery, so we only just picked her up yesterday from hospital, so she's pretty stressed, and she's a baby, so she starts to really flip her lid because it's all just too much, and it was jam-packed with people and horses in a very, very busy, stressful place. And I wasn't doing a great job of controlling her. I was doing my best, but my daughter was with her horse, and this horse was I was probably, in all honesty, over my head in trying to keep this horse calm. And so a couple of people got really angry with me and told me to calm my horse down. Not that she was doing anything vicious to anybody, but obviously her running around and neighing, and she was rearing up a bit, was setting other horses off. But, it was interesting in the fact that, my daughter came to me and she said, "Why are people getting angry, Mum? Why aren't people offering to help or being compassionate or understanding? Can't they see that you're doing your best? And can't they, like, why are people's first reaction to judge and be angry, Mum? Like, I don't get it. Can't they see that, you're just, you're with your daughter, you're doing your best, and you've clearly got a really stressed horse." And I said, "Look, honey, I think in situations like this where there's a lot going on, and I think in life it's one of the things that we are, conditioned to do really is to kind of like take care of self and forget about the whole, right? And I think that's why there's just so many angry people in the world, because even yesterday when we were picking up the horse from the rehabilitation centre, we had to park at a service station to pick up something and take a bathroom break because it was so far away. And we'd parked next to this air pump, and because it was the only place we could fit the car and the horse float. And a guy, just as we were coming out, parked his car in so we couldn't get out because he wanted to put air in his tires, and we very apologetically said, "Look, I'm really sorry, but would you mind moving your car? We need to get out. We've got to pick up this horse, and we're on a bit of a deadline." And he got really angry, straight off. "Well, why did you park there? And can't you see I'm trying to use the air thing?" And I said, "Look, I understand that, but there's nowhere else for us to park, and we've only been here for like a couple of minutes. Would you mind? Because we have to be, well, why can't you wait for me?" And I said, "Well, I would if we didn't have a deadline, but if we don't leave now, we are going to miss it, and we won't be able to pick the horse up, and we've come a really long way." So, and he got angry and angry. And I said to him, I said, "Look, I understand it's inconvenient for you, but if you just moved your car when we first asked, you'd be done by now and having your tires pumped up. Like, I'm really sorry to inconvenience you, but we don't really have anywhere else we can park the car, and really appreciate it if you would move." Angry, yelling, swearing, slamming doors, driving off. And again, my daughter said, "Why are people so angry, Mum?" And I said, "Well, I think there's a lot of anger in the world because, there's a lot of pressure on people. There's a lot of fear mongering through the media. There's a lot of, social conditioning of you just got to take care of you. And there's a lot of people feeling stuck, frightened, divided in the world. Even with the presidency, Republican versus Democrat, the anger that people handle each other who've got different opinions. It's like, just because someone has a different opinion doesn't have to equal anger. It doesn't have to equal judgment. It's amazing how justified we feel. Well, you've inconvenienced me, therefore I'm allowed to be angry. Or you have a different opinion to me, therefore I'm allowed to be angry. Or you can't control your horse, therefore I'm allowed to be angry. And it's like, I think the first thing we have to understand in life is always, if you go through life and you choose, and it is a choice, it's a conscious choice, if you choose to seek understanding first rather than assuming the worst, right? If you had that as your motto in life, to seek understanding first rather than automatically assuming the worst, if you choose compassion and kindness first rather than anger and judgment, your level of well-being, just by doing that, with nothing else in your life changing, would go through the roof. Your level of calm would go through the roof. Your mind would slow down. Your head would slow down. You would feel better in your heart. You would, just by doing that. Because when we choose anger and judgment and justification, there is a hardness that we bring. There's a hardness in our energy. There's a hardness in our heart. There's a hardness in our thinking. And when you are hard, your energy is a reflection of that hardness. For those of you who've just joined, I'm on my phone, so I'm sorry if it's a bit wobbly because I have to hold it up because the software wasn't speaking to my computer. I was just sharing that my daughter and I were at a horse show jumping competition this morning, and people were pretty angry, and one man in particular was pretty angry with me because there was one of our horses was really stressed and being quite difficult. Not that she was injuring or harming anyone, but obviously her being difficult was stirring up the horses around her, and I was doing my very best to try and control her, but it was probably a bit much for me, and I probably didn't do as good a job as I could have. And so people were getting quite angry. Well, this man in particular, and it's interesting because he had actually parked his truck next to us, and we watched him handle a horse next to us, and this beautiful horse, he was hosing it down. The horse moved its foot slightly, and he went bang on the halter and yanked its head and really wrenched it as if to say, don't move. And you could feel his hardness in this man's energy. And I'm like, this is what happens when our first port of call is anger. We cannot see how out of whack we are. Does that make sense? With how out of alignment we are, with how out of tune we are. And, when your first port of call is anger and judgment, there is a hardness in you that ripples out everywhere you go. And we need more softness in the world. Now, I just want to say this, you can bring softness and still have boundaries, right? You can bring softness and still get your point across, but you will have so much more impact when you choose understanding rather than assuming the worst. When your natural first port of call is compassion rather than anger and judgment. When you choose kindness over selfishness. Okay, when you choose to extend an olive branch, these are things that we need to learn how to do, right? These are things that many of us have forgotten about, and we don't realize the impact it has on our quality of life, obviously on the quality of our relationships, on our mental health, our well-being. And I'm talking about the health in your body, because when there's a hardness in you, I want you to think about what that does to your organs, what that does to the chemical impulses being created in your body. Like, it goes all the way. It thickens your blood. Like, it's just amazing how it impacts us from the inside out. Okay, so I really want to put it out there. There is never any justification, as much as you may feel justified, for anger and judgment. Right? Truly, there's not. A never equals B. If you can remember that, your capacity to show up differently in the world, to show up differently to others, to bring kindness will be enormous. I can't emphasize this enough. But there are so many people out there where their first port of call is anger and judgment and to assume the worst around someone else's intentions. And we have to change this narrative. We have to change this narrative. If you're someone who's looking for more peace in your life, a deeper sense of calm, who wants connection, because I got to say to you, a human being cannot thrive without connection. Connection is our lifeblood. It's the lifeblood of every human being on the planet. We cannot thrive. We can survive, but we cannot thrive. Okay. And I know there are people who are wanting more out of life. They want to feel more. They want to be less angry. They want their minds to slow down. They want to feel calmer. They want joy. I mean, the amount of people who contact me each and every day and say, I want that, Fiona. I don't understand how to get it. I don't understand how come it's missing in my life, in my relationships, just even in me. And for many people who've ticked all the boxes in life that say the boxes that we apparently need to tick in order to feel fulfilled and happy, the house, the car, and they say to me, I'm so angry, I'm so tense, I'm so uptight, I don't seem to have much left in the tank before I'm go from 0 to 100 so quickly. And look, I relate to that. That used to be me. That was my modus operandi. And all I can say is that having the understanding that I teach in my life and coming across that some 14, 15 years ago has been the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. I can navigate my emotions. In order for you to experience fulfillment in life, you have to know how to navigate your emotions well. This is an important thing that everybody has to learn how to do. You are in charge of your emotions, and it's up to you to learn how to navigate them well. A human being who can navigate their emotions well will be more successful at work, will have completely different experience of other people and themselves, will have a greater sense of self, will be better able to create connections, better able to lead. I mean, I could go on and on, makes better decisions, has access to better thinking, is just in an overall better level of well-being. And so learning how to navigate your emotions well, to me, is the key to everything. And when you can do that, it's amazing how much pride you have in yourself. Right? It's amazing how much calmer you are. It's amazing your ability to let things go, get over things quickly, forgive yourself, forgive others, and move on. Right? To have access to clarity of mind and to have really incredible relationships. But if you don't know how to do that, all of those things are on the line, right? All of them. Okay, so in saying that, let me just answer a couple of questions that have been sent in, and let me know if sorry, because I'm on my phone, I'm just have to flick off messages or notifications as they're coming through. Let me know if what I've said makes sense. All right, or press on the heart button, so at least then I know that you've heard me, and when you're finding this helpful, that would even be really helpful. That will give me some little bit of feedback. So if you are listening, press on the heart button, or the like button if you prefer, whichever one, to let me know that you've that this is making sense and this is helpful or resonating for you, because I don't know if I can see comments at the moment based on the fact that I am on my iPhone and not on my computer. All right. Anyway, so all right, answering questions that have been sent in. So first question. Hi, what's the best way to make up after a disagreement? We've had a few lately. The first thing you've got to do, all right, if you're finding yourself in a cycle where you and your partner or you and your kids or whoever you're sharing space with are arguing a lot, okay, or you seem to be kind of having a disagreement, but it's not long before you're moving into the next one. It's a couple of things going on. Number one, you have to let go of who's right and wrong. You have to let go of that. Okay? Because the minute you've got thinking about who's right and who's wrong, the minute you do that, you go into justification. And the minute you feel justified, your tone changes, your energy changes. You'll come across as like you know better than the other person. It'll come across as though your reality is better than theirs, and there's no goodwill in that. There's no goodwill in that. And so if you want to make up after a disagreement, you've got to understand one thing. If you're coming from who's right and who's wrong, if you're coming from that very divisive place, basically what you're saying without saying it, so to speak, is I represent me, right? I represent my own interests. I'm not interested in yours. I represent me. Now, when we start going into an argument or a discussion and we're coming from that place where I represent me, the other person says, okay, well, if you're going to represent you, I'll represent me. Someone's got to represent me. And now you've got two people on opposite sides and feeling suspicious of each other and no longer feeling emotionally safe. And so when we stop feeling emotionally safe, we don't listen. We find it very difficult to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. We find it incredulous that someone could have a different reality to us. We get caught up in our ego. And then once we're caught up in our ego, it becomes very much about what I call emotional ping pong. You're just waiting for your chance to rebut someone else and to speak. Nobody's truly taking on board anything else. There's no validation. There's no understanding. There's no compassion. There's no nothing. And so people become harder, right? There's a hardness that develops, which is exactly what I was talking about at the start of this live. And so hard meeting hard just means people are bashing against one another verbally and mentally and emotionally. And so, of course, when that happens, people come away from an argument like that feeling really bruised. Okay? Have you ever noticed that? Anyone notice that? If you ever had an experience of that where you feel really emotionally bruised, and that bruise lasts for a while, right? It lasts for a while. And when we're feeling emotionally bruised, all of a sudden we're not as relaxed around another person. There's a hardness, we're tense, we're kind of on guard. We're waiting for the next onslaught. We find ourselves walking on eggshells. And all of that is unsettling for you and the other person. And so what happens is we are far more easily triggered. And so that tripwire, that emotional tripwire gets tripped again and again and again until people get to a point where they are, they're walking on eggshells. There's no emotional safety. They are on guard constantly. And then, of course, they don't feel good around each other. And when you don't feel good around another person, you don't want to spend time with them, right? You don't. Human beings are driven by the desire, need. And so when we don't feel good around someone, what does? So if you've been disagreeing a lot, the very first thing you've got to do, I know some of you might be listening to this and going, yeah, but what? I'm just supposed to condone bad behavior. And I'm like, well, your definition of bad behavior and their definition of bad behavior, sometimes what we think is bad behavior only looks that way because we've lost the focus of compassion. We're not looking through a lens of compassion and understanding. Actually having this conversation with a client yesterday. Her daughter about to have a baby and she's mum as a every time I call her, she ignores my calls and I keep texting her saying, please let me know what's going on. And she's not answering me. I don't understand it. And I'm really overwhelmed right now. She's due to give birth any day. Her baby's breech. She's probably doesn't have the headspace. Probably all the focus is on doing whatever she can to get through this labor and birth, and she probably just doesn't have the headspace to call you. And she said, but I'm her mum. Don't I matter? And I said, of course you matter. But the fact that she's not calling you does not mean you don't matter, right? That's the meaning you're placing on it. The fact that she's not calling you could be because she's just really overwhelmed and can't take on your emotional stuff at the moment. The best thing you could do for your daughter right now is not ask or expect a thing from her. The best thing you could do for your daughter right now is just send her a message saying, I love you, I'm thinking of you, I'm here if you need me. Rather than sending a message as, why won't you call me? You need to talk to me. And then assuming that that means something about you. Right now, what your daughter needs is love, support, and understanding. She said, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. I can't believe it's so obvious when you say it like that, Fiona. I can't believe I didn't see that. And I said, well, you know, when we take things personally, we lose perspective. When we get caught up in right and wrong, we lose perspective. When we get really focused on our makeup after a disagreement, you have to be prepared to give up right and wrong. You have to, okay? Because the minute we come at something from, and even in the way we apologize or acknowledge something, oh, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have, or if you hadn't have, or if you only had it, like, you know what I mean? There's no ownership or accountability in that. So give up the right perspective. Stand very quickly after a disagreement, because what's happening when people disagree? Okay, think about it for a second. What's happening when people disagree? All of a sudden they're feeling disconnected, and when we feel disconnected, we feel separate. Now, when we feel separate, we feel insecure. We feel alone. We feel misunderstood. We feel fearful. All of our insecurities rise to the surface. And when all of our insecurities rise to the surface, we're not very emotionally intelligent, right? And we get very focused on self. And so those things happen. It is very hard to make up after a disagreement, because all you can see is the fact that you're right and the other person's wrong. And of course, the other person's in the exact same frame of mind. So there, I think compassion, listening, and curiosity are required. Oops, hang on, sorry, I just lost my connection there. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this on my phone because my computer was not recognizing my camera. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Now, then I'm going to have to fly, and also my arm is hurting from holding this phone. I've got to do whatever. Sorry, my internet's playing up. That's because I'm hotspotting off my phone right now. All right, let's see how I go. If it keeps playing up, I might have to end the live early. But hopefully what I've said so far has been of use to you guys. Please, you know, let me know in the comments. I don't know if I can see them right now, but I would certainly appreciate any feedback that you have. Okay, so next question. Hi, Fiona. You talk about how important it is to have goodwill in a relationship and how focusing on that can possibly change the partner's behavior. Well, I don't know if I quite say it that way. First of all, I just want to say, this is really important. Don't try and create goodwill with something because you're trying to get something back. It doesn't work that way, right? It tends to fall flat because it feels disingenuous. It feels, do you know what I mean? Energetically, it doesn't work very well. So if you're trying to create goodwill in order to get something back, that's not really creating goodwill, right? That's more of what I would call emotional horse trading. I'm going to be nice to you, but you better be nice to me, right? And it just doesn't work that way. You've got to do those things from a place of neutrality. You've got to create goodwill because you love someone and you want them to feel good, right? You can't do it with an expectation of something back. It just doesn't work so well. All right. So that's the first thing I'd say. What about when you've been trying for a long time and carrying much more than your share of the load and very little about your partner's behavior changes? The amount of my partner's work I am picking up is affecting my life, time, and energy. Okay. For example, I've told my partner how important it is to me to have the bed made, and in a year she has made it only a couple of times. This is one small example of a long list of chores that are supposed to be shared. It's easy to let go of one issue, but how do you let go of them all when you either end up living in a house that you find disgusting or being exhausted from doing everything yourself? We can't afford to hire a housekeeper. Well, I guess the first thing is, it sounds like you're doing a lot of over functioning. Okay. And the thing you've got to understand is when one person over functions, another person under functions. All right. Now, I know it's easy to get caught up in that, and you're probably listening to this and going, yeah, that's all well and good, Fiona, but if I don't do it, nothing changes. And I think what needs to happen here is you've got to stop jumping in and filling the gap. It's really, really important. Okay. You've got to stop doing that. You need to sit down and have a conversation, because that's based on understanding and curiosity. See, what tends to happen when we overfunction is another person stops doing things, or they don't even notice it, and they take things for granted, right? And then, of course, the overfunctioner feels resentful. They feel unappreciated. They go into martyr mode. The other person goes into victim mode, and then you getting this to stop. The other person who's doing all the cooking and the other person doesn't contribute, stop doing all the cooking. Just start making food for yourself, right? When the person comes home and says, where's my dinner? Just say, I didn't know that you wanted dinner. I'm just taking care of me right now because I don't have the energy to do all the things around here. So you'll have to cook your own dinner. Or why hasn't any of my washing been done? Well, I'm just taking care of me right now because I feel like there's just not enough contribution from you, and so I'm getting resentful, and I don't want to show up to you that way. So I'm just going to take care of my things, and you take care of yours. And once we're in a place of equality, maybe we can look at how we can share the load more. But right now, I'm taking on more than I want to, and I'm getting resentful, and that's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. So I'm just going to handle my things for now, and I'm going to let you handle yours, all right? Because I don't want to end up being in a state of martyrdom with you, and I don't want to be resentful around you, right? I really don't. So I've decided probably what the best thing is for me to do right now is just I'll take care of me. I'll take care of my dishes, because I feel like we've lost our way. Okay, and I'm feeling unappreciated, and I don't know how to get you to see and understand that. So I'm just going to focus on me, and you'll have to focus on your things for now, right? I would really encourage you, not from a place of, and again, you can't do this from a place of anger and resentment and judgment, just from a place of calm, peace, understanding, and just say, I know those things aren't your strong point, or whatever. I don't know the backstory here, but just until I feel that there's a little more equality, I'm just going to take care of my stuff. All right, I'll get my own food, I'll cook my own meals, and I'm going to leave you to take care of you. And once there's a little more equality, maybe we can look at how we can share the load a little more. All right. Okay, everybody, I hope that this has been helpful. Sorry if my phone's been a little bit shaky. Like I said, I've had to do this on my phone, and because the camera's not recognizing my computer. But I hope this has been helpful. I will share the more details about my book, which is launching soon on February the 13th. Funny Little Human, Transform the Way you see yourself and the ones you love, is coming out very, very, very soon, and I'm very, very excited. I can't wait to share it with you. Sending you all lots and lots of love. If you would like to send me an email with questions to get answered next week, you could send them to hello@fionalukeis.com.au. If you'd like to know about Relatable, my amazing online program where I teach this understanding, where we have the most incredible community, like truly, I mean, I took a break from my Relatable calls for a couple of weeks, and people were sharing in the group, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself without these calls. I just love them so much. I just love the community. People could not wait to get back on them again. I've got people who are rejoining Relatable for their 4th year because they just love the calls. They love the community. They love the insights. They love the understanding, which just gets deeper and deeper every year. I mean, Relatable will give you everything you need to navigate your emotions well, to change your relationship with you, with life, with others. It's and the community and love and support, wisdom, insight. I mean, I could go on and on. It's just a privilege and an honor to do this. So if you would like to know more about Relatable, you can book a chat with me and ask me lots and lots of questions and find out if it's a good fit for you. I'll put the link to do that below. In the meantime, thank you all so much. Sending you all love, and I will be here next Friday. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Ciao.